Alright, what do we have this week? Steam and Red Games got DDOSed. Ubisoft cancelled an Assassin's Creed game. Ghost of Yotei fan fudges sales numbers. All that and more on this week's Old Man Rages Had the News for the 13th of October 2025. Before we get the show on the road, hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy the content. And we're kicking off this week with a DDoS attack. Both Steam and Riot Games got hit by a DDoS attack earlier this week, leaving many gamers unable to access their games. The outage came around 8 PM Eastern Daylight Time on the 6th of October, and there are reports that more than just Steam and Riot were hit. Some experienced downtime with Epic Games and Amazon Web Hosting Services, amongst others. There weren't official confirmation as far as we could find, but it was alleged that the group, Haisuru, is the one behind the attack, and from a Reddit post it was mentioned that it was a sophisticated TCP carpet bomb attack that replicates legitimate traffic as close as possible. At the end of the day though, this is Reddit, and half of the time you have to take what you read there with a grain of salt. Now, this probably still holds true because if I understand things correctly, the bandwidth of the attack reached 29.69 terabits per second of data. And if the DDoS protection isn't able to differentiate between legitimate traffic and actual attackers, on top of the normal traffic, can knock out any service, at least with my basic knowledge. Again, I'm gonna leave more info on what carpet bombing is in the source section, as well as some common methods that it can be used. But as always, in terms of cybersecurity, do your own research and never take a single source as gospel. And in something that could be the start of the fall of the duopoly that is payment processors, the popular Japanese platform for games and comics, Dlsite launches its own payment alternative following the Visa and MasterCard suspensions. This new alternative method is called, and I'm so gonna butcher this, Mina no Ginko payment, and it's presented as a seamless instant service tied to the Japanese digital bank called Mina no Ginko. In order for people to use the new payment method, Dlsite is offering a bunch of discounts and rewards, although this option is unlikely to become available to people outside of Japan, since the official homepage of the bank said that opening a digital bank account from overseas is not possible, and they can't guarantee the app's operation when accessed from outside of Japan. Now, sure, it sucks that you won't be able to use it from outside of Japan, but no matter how you look at it, this has the potential of breaking Visa and MasterCard's duopoly, and I'm all for it. Moving on, Jordan Paul, the voice actor behind Honkai Star Rail's Dr. Ratio, made a video talking about returning from a hiatus, and then in the later parts of the video, he talked about Charlie Kirk. And, well, for the people who are aware of how Twitter thinks, you know what's coming. In his video, he said that he agreed with Charlie Kirk's idea of sitting down and talking, and just mentioning that got people riled up and tweeting the likes of these tweets. One of the first replies I ever saw claims that Charlie Kirk harassed people, and then Madam Savvy showed a video of Charlie Kirk literally countering an anti-gay extremist. Talk about having your foot shoved in your mouth. Hell, even a retweet of his original tweet got 5k likes saying hoping he gets recasted. Some people need to have a sit down in a nice padded room with a jacket that has really long sleeves, if you ask me. And in what could be described as the smartest decision Ubisoft could make, they cancelled an Assassin's Creed game set in the post-Civil War era. That's referring to America post-Civil War. And that would have been an amazing thing to play. Just think about it. The tension just after a war ending. You know, there's still friction on both sides. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that falls somewhere around or just after Assassin's Creed 3. If memory serves me right, that is. I mean, it all sounds good on paper until you realize that it features a black assassin who was formerly a slave, and that after the failure of Assassin's Creed Shadows is definitely a mood killer for many. Sure, it makes sense to have it until, well, you realize it's Ubisoft, and it would have turned into a black good, white bad game as it did with Shadows. Oh, and according to the game file, that was supposed to be your protagonist. Oh, please, if that was my protagonist, you'd have Duke Nukem in Assassin's Creed. But anyway, I digress. The project apparently was cancelled all the way back in 2024 and only now surfaced. Either they foresaw the future or they got lucky here. It's 50-50. According to the sources, the idea behind the game had been to show how racial tensions can be used to control society, but Ubisoft cancelled the project because it was, and I quote, too political in a country too unstable. I'm sure it has nothing to do with Tencent telling them that it's time to make money now, does it? And now let's go back to talking about more payment processors. Because, yeah, apparently the UK government just pops off a request to stop payment processors from nuking not safe for work games on Steam. And it says it's a matter of, and I quote, the free market. Which part of this is the free market here? Are we talking about payment processors refusing to stop payments going through being the free market? Because pretty sure that doesn't fall under free market. A while back we showed this petition and now the government finally responded. And the response basically boils down to, we're too lazy to deal with any of this shit. The TLDR response reads, payment processors are able to choose who they process payments for. Subject to any relevant requirements, the government has no plans to intervene in those commercial decisions. Yeah, I told ya, they're too lazy to deal with it. Even reading the full thing makes me think whoever wrote this sniffed glue for breakfast, lunch and dinner. They also mentioned that the National Payment Vision that was published in November 2024, and I quote, a key part of this ambition is the continued development of open banking, which enables consumers to make purchases using a wider range of payment methods, including account-to-account payments, which is exactly what's being blocked. We can't pay for specific things, but they still believe that whatever they have allows for a free market to do whatever it wants. Talk about delusions. And here's the funny thing. I can't believe I'm agreeing with PC Gamer, but you can't just transfer the price of a Steam game directly into Gabe Newell's account. It has to go into Steam's business account, and guess what? If the payment processor says, no, you're not paying for this, or what is it? What are you paying for? Tell us. And you tell them, and they go like, ew, you horrible animal. And they start judging you. Then they tell you, no, we're not gonna do your transaction. Meanwhile, all you're trying to do is buy Terraria on a sale or something. Yeah, you get the idea. Keep in mind, this petition asks for the government to prevent payment processing companies to not put stipulations on use of their services, specifically for legal content. Yes, it's only asking for legal content, and the government can easily implement it, but nope. Just one big middle finger to everyone, I suppose. Sit down, old champ. We got some middle fingers here up for your ass, so bend over and enjoy. Ugh. The old farts that had the bright idea to get this passed had their shows cut from production because the payment processors decided to finally, I don't know, cut payments to the actors. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Maybe then they'll take actions about it, but yeah, I doubt it. That's wishful thinking. It's like, when will that happen? Oh wait, never. But anyways, I digress. Moving on. Well, expect more videos of Pico Park on YouTube in the coming weeks, because after more than 9 years, the game became free to play for everyone. Also, it got rebranding as Pico Park Classic Edition. Now, what exactly happened here? Why is this in the news cycle? Well, it all starts in August when Pico Park, the makers of the game, talked about this update and added they might add online support. After update, they did make it free, however, the plan was to only have it for a week. But then, they realized that once you switch from paid to free enough times, you can never go back. Now the game is free on Steam permanently, because they crossed the threshold. Now, it's important to add, there's nothing in Steam's partner doc that says that it can be changed for X number of times, but according to developers' own words, I was planning to switch to a paid plan after updating the online support, but I forgot that once you switch from paid to free, I can never go back to paid. And that's why when a company wants to give their game out for free, they normally give it 100% discount. The more you know. And in what could be classified as another colossal cock-up, Nintendo is requesting that a court awarded $4.5 million in damages from a Switch piracy Reddit moderator for operating multiple piracy sites. Now that's a grudge match I wasn't expecting to see. The person refused to stop after Nintendo asked them, which led to the lawsuit. Yes, Nintendo first sent a cease and desist letter, and then they went for the throat. I mean, I'm not sure if I should be happy here. On one side you have Nintendo suing someone. Nothing new there. On the other hand, it's a Reddit moderator. I mean, it's kinda hard to cheer for someone like that. You know what? I have an idea. I'll grab some popcorn and enjoy the shit show from the sidelines. That sounds like a good idea. But anyways, moving on. I kind of forgot to cover this last week, but anyways, better late than never. Time to remind people that Black Ops 7 beta fails to top Battlefield 6 on 2 major platforms. Oh, and by the way, it still hasn't changed if you're curious. Now, the first platform is Twitch, where you can see it had some pretty good spikes at the start, and then it dwindled faster than people's tolerance for DEI. Here are the stats for its competitor Battlefield 6, and yes, they did also drop hard, but overall, their numbers are still strong. Hell, on the 10th of August, Battlefield had an average of 132,000 viewers, while the average for Black Ops 7 was 60,000 during the first days of the beta. Now, the other platform is Steam, where the beta amassed over 100,000 players, and the open beta for Battlefield 6 got 521,000 players peak, and another good player count of 408,000 a few days later. The console numbers might be different, but I doubt it will really change much, especially looking at the trends across the board. Inside Gaming also found a quote from Activision about the beta's performance, and they said it was off to a great start. Great start? Oh god, the delusions run wild in Activision's halls. Let's hope they look at the entire community's feedback, cause they'll need all of it if they want to have a fighting chance this time around. Just remember, Microsoft gave up $300 million in Call of Duty sales as a result of Game Pass. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, sticking with Microsoft for a bit more, Xbox is not out of the water. Especially with this crazy idea on their end. Yes, your eyes didn't deceive you. They're planning on releasing Xbox Cloud Gaming Service with ads for free. I mean, it's free, though doubt any sane or in general normal person will play it. But, we'll see. The source of The Verge claimed that Microsoft has started trialing a free Xbox cloud gaming service, and the tests include 2 minutes of pre-roll ads before a game is available to stream. They're also testing a limit of 1 hour for sessions with up to 5 hours free for a month. Ay, ay, ay. If this is true, they're gonna have a great time trying to convince people that this is a good idea. Good idea. How about that? Now, there's a rumor that there are intense changes coming to the Xbox brand in the coming months. One of these rumors is layoffs, and the other one is that Xbox will become a game publisher and no longer a hardware brand. Microsoft came out and addressed these rumors. They said, and I quote, "We're actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. For more details, the community can revisit our agreement announcement with AMD." Now, what I find interesting is that they only address the hardware rumors, not the layoff rumors, which leads me to believe that there will be layoffs in the future. Now, that's just a wild guess on my end. Take that with a grain of salt. Now, sticking with Xbox publishing, Outer Worlds 2's hype is, well, non-existent. On the official account, and if I can even call this promotion, is that even a controller or just somebody vomited something on MS Paint? Yeah, let's call it a controller for argument's sake. On its official account, the promotion for its controller has about 30.6k views with 680 likes. Yeah, the more I look at these controllers, I think somebody was on LSD or something when trying to come up with the design. I mean, for God's sakes, it looks like it should be burned alive in hell. I mean, anyways, let's get this out of the screen. Get it off the screen now, editor. Hell, even the wishlist numbers don't look good for the game, considering it's an Xbox-backed game. And as much as I wish, that's not the end of Xbox's segment here, though. Because the Halo's chief of staff left the studio and went to work for Riot. Probably a good thing, cause now, well, maybe Halo can actually become a good game. Second thought, the art director left because of discontent. Now, this is full statement. If you want to read it, pause the video, go at it. What I'm more interested in is that he said he will share the full story next year when it's safe to do so. So there's an NDA involved in this, or I don't know, just guessing here. But it doesn't bode well if the art director that's been with the studio for 17 years just says, yeah, screw this, I'm out of here. Oh boy. Next year is gonna be a fun one for Halo Studios. I think that was their name? I don't know. The game basically died thanks to the chief of staff. But anyway, I digress. And in other news, did you know that Ghost of Yotei sold over 1 million copies? No? Well, me neither. But apparently this information came from a nobody on X and not directly from Sony. Yeah, I highly doubt that the game sold 1 million copies. But anyway, this article is also desperate to paint the game in a good light, that they use someone who would spout their original opinions as source. Hell, they were desperate enough to find someone who said something like this that they had to dig deep in order to find a tweet with only, what, 784 views that fit their delusions? But don't worry, just look at how apparently it's positively received by both players and critics. Like, sure, it's good on Metacritic, but that doesn't mean shit in terms of the game if it's infested with DEI bullshit. Specifically, DEI bullshit that started the whole controversy. And the only smart people apparently are the ones who didn't buy the game, and they're winning because they didn't spend their money on a flop of a game. On top of that, someone in the comments is calling him out that he got even basic information wrong. And if you don't trust the website he showed, just look at the PlayStation tweet. On top of that, looking at the PSN profile, the PlayStation version of SteamDB, they estimate only 23k people own the game. Hell, looking at the numbers on Twitch as well, views and hours watched, well, all of that took a nosedive from the moment the game released, so where did he get that million games sold for? Fuck if I know, but everything points to the hype around the game dying down, that's for sure. And normally sequels get more hype than the prequel, unless you're Star Wars. Let's take a look at another source for the sales. Grums on Twitter showed Genki's tweet, and it sold over 120k physical units on launch, which is a good number, but it's still 43% less than Ghost of Tsushima's numbers. Even IGN is tired of the same writing that PlayStation games have, which does include Ghost of Yotei. Hell, the guy that made the IGN video even realized that he was playing Ghost of Yotei. Let that sink in for a moment. A rare IGN W. If that isn't enough to show you how bad this game performs, then, and as per usual, take this with a grain of salt, there is a rumor that Ghost of Yotei's ads are being quickly scaled back by Sony Japan due to the collapsing sales. According to the sources, the decision was a response to, and I quote, disappointing sales trend and a desire to not lose money on the game that has a declining sales trajectory. The rumor does hold some ground since, as Emerald Apple on X pointed out, the interest for the game is collapsing and even showing data to back it up. To top it all off, Alinea Analytics is somehow able to find the numbers for Ghost of Yotei, which again, if it is as big as they say, would have expected Sony to scream about it on X. But oh well, it's at least entertaining the idea for now. They said that the game sold 1.6 million copies to consumers, netting nearly $100 million in revenue. But as the article pointed out, it's selling much slower than Ghost of Tsushima, which sold 2.4 million in 3 days. Remember, the Ghost of Yotei numbers are after a week of sales. Now, my question is, how do these guys know that 93% of Ghost of Yotei's players have played Ghost of Tsushima? Fuck if I know, really. It's just trust me bro statements. Hell, most of this article is just trust me bro, and I can't believe I wasted my time on it. Well, better my time than yours, I guess. And in other news, Take Us North is back on the menu. And this time, they back down before anyone can say anything. Thankfully, this is the internet, and it's easy to archive anything and everything. Now, what happened? They made a giant statement and quickly deleted it. Good thing that there are archives out there, so I'll go over the more spicy parts of it. Now, if you want the full read, I would strongly suggest to check out Gothic Therapy on YouTube, as they're the ones who made this archive. Now, instead of opening with their game or anything smart, they instead just decided to open with politics. Yep, somehow, someway, politics appeared in games, even when you don't want them to. Of course, they're pushing a message about how many Hispanic heritage gatherings have been cancelled over immigration enforcement and safety concerns. How is this related to the game? No clue, but apparently it is. Oh, brother. They also added they became a target of viral online harassment campaign, which, for the people living under a rock, is a code word for help, I'm being exposed for my lies. They didn't even have the balls to name Asmongold here when it's obvious they are talking about him. After all, he's the biggest streamer that reacted to their panel. Not only that, but they claim to have personal attacks made against them and that they were doxxed. Oh, come on, at least Collective Shit Show had the balls to fake the screenshots. You didn't even put in any effort and probably made this whole thing up. I mean, doxing what? Chances are you probably just left some public information somewhere and called that doxing. How about you prove it for once? I don't know, log it with the police, investigation numbers, something, but yeah, sure, believe us, take us at our word, trust me bro, we've been doxxed. But sadly, the delusions keep on coming with them. They also believe they're making a documentary style work with Take Us North about immigration. Alright, I got a question, why don't they just make a documentary in the first place? Funniest part of all of this is they want people to experience the migration problems that immigrants have and use the word visceral. I mean, the reason why I find this funny is because earlier they acknowledged the existence of migrant guides, known as coyotes, who can and have done horrendous things to immigrants in the past. Oh, brother. They now finally explain why this is a game, believe it or not. Because they believe it will spread their propaganda, and to put it in the simplest explanation possible. Now, this is what they said, and I quote, "Games have evolved beyond traditional stereotypes and can serve as strong drivers of community and connection." See? I told you they believe that. They also mentioned how it's gonna be a game as a vehicle for empathy, which sure, I'll give you that, but I doubt your game will ever achieve it. Also, their primary goal for the game isn't apparently winning or losing, it's to experience a grounded in reality story of illegal immigrations. Jesus Christ, if they really wanted to do this, they should have just made this an interactive movie instead. And I'm definitely not saying that because I don't want it to be associated with gaming or anything. Wink wink, nudge nudge. And last thing I want to cover about them is their own question, apparently. Is Take Us North quote-unquote propaganda? Well, they are aware. And let me tell you, they're doing everything they can in order to not answer the question. I mean, I still can't believe it. They're willing to just sit there dodging their own questions. Oh wait, I can. They literally asked a yes or no question and they went on a tangent, moving slowly away from the question. They asked, were they expecting people to just go like, yeah, I believe them, or something, I don't know. Probably. Hell, they even tried to make us believe that it's a storytelling as inquiry, not as indoctrination, even though most of the times they have appeared as if they're trying to indoctrinate you into a cult. This is literally what they wrote next. And I quote, "By placing our audience in the shoes of migrants, we create connections for empathy to emerge." Bitch, that's indoctrination 101. Oh, enough of this shit show. Oh, wait. There's another DI ridiculous story here now, isn't it? Oh yeah, a game involving Sweet Baby Inc. is ending its development cycle and the studio is laying off staff. The game in question? It's Hyper Light Breakers. During the early access period, the game managed to get 67% reviews. That's with 2,580 reviews. But after working on the game for 9 months, they ended development. It wasn't explained why they stopped working on the game. Even the quotes didn't explain why they stopped. Probably because it was delayed for 2 years, but that's just me speculating here. So take this with a grain of salt. They also haven't confirmed how many people will be laid off. But there is also another rumor that Sony could be ditching Western studios and shifting to Japanese devs and traditional stories for exclusives, especially if Ghost of Yotei and the Heritage Prophet fails. Oh boy, I kinda hope they do. That means we have a chance to get good games, assuming Sony doesn't fail spectacularly on that front. Now, the source claims another rumor I'm also hearing is that Naughty Dog's Intergalactic, The Heritage Project, and Ghost of Yotei are the last chance for these Western developers. If they fail after that, Sony is going full focus on Japanese developers and instead go back to traditional stories and characters. They're citing China winning on the gaming market with Genshin Impact, Wukong, and Wuthering Waves as a reason to change. Now, Sony, if that's your reason to change, good for you. Just don't do fucking gacha. It's better that way, trust me. And lastly, Runeman might be right about EA selling BioWare and DICE or closing other studios. So, according to Polygon, multiple analysts believe that BioWare is a prime candidate to be sold because of how the studio struggled and mentioned Failguard as how it was hit with layoffs. It also suggests that DICE, the developer of Battlefield 6's multiplayer, could be sold if the game underperforms, but with what happened with the game so far, I personally doubt it will. Though only time will tell. And that was all for this week. Again, if you liked the content, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you next time.